What's going on, guys? Scar here, and today I'm going to be giving you my review of the Elden Ring DLC Shadow of the Erdtree. It released about a week ago, and so far it has 10 out of 10s all over the board as being one of the best DLCs to ever be released. And I just gotta say, it's definitely one of my favorite expansions I have ever played. I will say right now, there will be spoilers according to like lore and maybe some bosses and stuff like that. But other than that, if you don't want spoilers, you might want to click off the video. If you've already played through the game or you already know what's going to come through this DLC, then you should be fine. But otherwise, we'll just get into it. So first off, I want to mention the world. From the map, we can clearly see that it's almost the size of Limgrave, Caelid, and Liurnia all combined into one, and maybe even the Alice Plateau. That whole entire space and everything in between, that is the size of the DLC world. And just for that, I feel like it qualifies as a base game. It's almost as big as it. The only thing that's being left out is the mountaintops of the giants, the Erdtree, and what else am I forgetting? That's it. I mean, Crumbling Azula, but, you know, it's not really part of the map. But anyway, that entire section is basically the same size as the DLC, which, to be honest, I think is a very, very good size. And if I didn't know better, I'd probably say this is like a new game. This is a new video game. This is Elden Ring 2. I would think of that. And there's just so much to explore. There's so many different biomes that you can find. Yeah, you have Caelid, that's like your basic just Greenlands and stuff like that. And then you have Caelid, which is like dark and red, inflicted with scarlet rot and stuff. And then you have Liurnia, which is just a gigantic lake with a bunch of birds, flowers, poison, crabs, lobsters, and stuff. I think FromSoft killed it when it came to just making a perfect world that wasn't as big as the base game, but was big enough to give us what they wanted to show in the base game before. But, you know, everything they wanted to show in this DLC was going to be shown in the base game. They just didn't know, or they didn't have the time to. They wanted to get it out by a certain time. But I'm still very impressed about what they were able to put into this, even after a bit of delay. I think they did delay it for maybe a few extra months or so. So I think the time that they took for this expansion was plenty of time to give us this amount of exploration and stuff. It feels like a full game. Like, I wouldn't know if I didn't know better. They could just call this Elden Ring 2 and it'd be perfect, and I'd pay $60 for it. I'd pay whatever. But I thought this was perfect. I thought it had plenty to offer. The every single biome was cool with the blue flower area. I don't have that on film. The recording you're seeing is actually the Shadow Keep, which is like the Atlas Plateau area of this DLC. So it's like the more darker area with knights everywhere and stuff. And this is actually where you fight Mesmer. I'll show a video on that later some other time. But otherwise, I felt that this definitely had a lot to offer in terms of exploration, and it was definitely needed since the new system rewarded you on exploring for the Erdtree fragments and the spirit blessings or whatever it's called, and that was basically to enhance spirit summons and Tauren and stuff like that. So I definitely think it's worth exploring everything if you get the chance to, whether you're still in the middle of the game or at the beginning of the game, or if you're at the end of the game and you just want to see what else the world has to offer, you can go and do that. It has way more, and to be honest, I like the exploration in this DLC more than the base game. And that's not taking anything away from the base game. I just like the environment. I like the dark, cool, like just mystic environment that this game has to offer. So that's all I'll say about the world. 10 out of 10. Bosses. This is the only thing that I had a bit of trouble with, and I think a lot of other people did, and I think that's why the DLC currently has mixed reviews. They say that the bosses were too difficult, and a lot of other streamers said that too, and we're all in agreement that this DLC was going to be a step up from the base game in terms of difficulty and the bosses. The bosses were faster, they had cooler but more annoying movesets. They did a lot of stuff that just made you really think that you haven't really fought anything like this. Not anything in the base game that was like this. Everything was faster and much more quicker than usual. So we had to adjust to that. And most of us did. Some people just quit, either refunded or just never touch the DLC again, which is fine. I'm not judging anyone on that because it was difficult. I almost quit. I almost quit on the Rolana fight. That fight might be one of the hardest fights I've ever done. And a lot of people say it's like Millennia, and I do agree. I literally said I thought the fight was like a Millennia fight. And people even said before, they said there wasn't going to be a fight that's as hard as Millennia, and I felt like it was. I could beat Millennia in like less than 10 tries. This took me more than, I don't know, maybe 50, maybe more my first time playing through. My second time, honestly, maybe even more than that because I tried a different build and it didn't work as well, but I eventually killed her. But, yeah, that fight might be the most annoying, but it's definitely the most cool fight. And I also like, speaking of Rolana, she is actually a reference to a Dark Souls 3 boss, Pontiff Sullivan, where he had his 2 different swords with 2 abilities on both swords. It was like a magic sword, and then you had a fire sword. I'm not sure how it was for Pontiff in Dark Souls 3, but he had something similar to that, and it had like a similar moveset, I think. So that was a cool reference. Bale the Dread, that wingless dragon, he actually wasn't that hard. I got him in less than like 10 or 15 tries. I didn't use the summon. I don't remember actually summoning the lore accurate character to fight with you. So I actually just did it myself. I beat the boss myself. He actually wasn't too difficult, but he did have a lot of annoying movesets that you had to really understand. Definitely an S tier boss, 100%. He's definitely a reference to Midir from Dark Souls 3, the DLC. I think it was the Ringed City, maybe. I could be wrong. I actually didn't play a lot of the Dark Souls 3 DLC, but I do know about Midir. And people said, oh, this new Dragon Boss Bale is going to be a reference to Midir. So I like that they took a lot of like inspiration from previous DLCs and the previous games just so they can put it all into this. So I really like all the references and stuff. Another thing about difficulty for bosses, I felt like there wasn't enough openings for some of them. In my opinion, I just thought that you had to really learn how to do bosses without getting hit. I didn't feel like there was a way to really do that in this game for certain bosses like Rolana. I don't think you could do a no-hit run. If you can, I want to see a video. I really do. I really want to learn how to not get hit as many times as I usually do by this bitch. She just moves way too fast, and I don't know how to negate every single hit, but I always forget about certain hits that she does, and then she extends them. Sometimes she stops too early, and then you don't get the hit in, and it gets too difficult where you don't really find many openings. So if you guys have a video, or like if you guys can like link me a video to like someone who actually does a no-hit run, the only thing that I've seen with a no-hit run is someone using the buckler parry shield, and they just parried every single time they knew they were probably gonna get hit. They even did that for the final boss, and I was like, bullshit, you didn't do a no-hit run, but whatever. So I guess I have to learn how to parry, and I'll probably will. But yeah, that's basically my only complaint about the difficulty, is that I didn't find a lot of openings, and there also wasn't a lot of time to heal for certain bosses. And I'll be honest, I even think Mesmer wasn't even that bad of a fight, and I actually played him like just a few minutes ago. I don't think he is that difficult. I just need to really learn some of his like fire attacks when he just throws fire. I just really need to learn how to like stay right next to him the entire time so he doesn't always throw fire in my face. But other than that, I could probably do a no-hit run. Doesn't really matter to me, but I'm just saying like I could probably do pretty well without getting hit as many times as I usually do. But yeah, not too hard, and most of the other bosses were cool as fuck. 10 out of 10 again. The build and weapon variety in this game was phenomenal. I think the best part of this DLC when it came to like new weapons and new playstyles was the incantations and the weapon arts. The incantations are pretty cool. The only ones I've used so far is Mesmer's, but I also know they have like new dragon stuff, and I'm pretty sure that includes Bale. I think he has new incantations. I have one of his. I actually don't know too many of the incantations. The only ones I know are the boss ones from the Remembrances. I know the Romina, Saint of the Bud. I know she had like a flower, or no, not a flower. It was like a butterfly one where you can spread butterflies around yourself and basically inflict scarlet rot around you to inflict on other people. So I think that's actually pretty cool. Those are actually all the weapon arts I know. Or, I mean, sorry, the incantations. The weapon arts, though, I will say, I think are top tier. Some of the best we've ever seen. Um, Mesmer's Spear was actually the only one that I was really excited to use because, I wanted to be Mesmer. I wanted to cosplay as him. I wanted to use the spear and stuff, see how strong I can make my character. It's a Faith character, and to be honest, most Faith builds based on, like, bosses like Malekith and stuff with his blade, they're actually not that good. And when I use Mesmer's weapon and I use his weapon art, I thought it was sick. It's cool to use on, like, just regular enemies that you face, like literally any other enemy, but you probably could never use it against bosses. It's not that it's bad to use against bosses, but I feel like it's just not the right weapon art to use against them. Maybe in the base game, but in the DLC and even in New Game Plus, it's honestly not really worth it. So I wouldn't say it's shit, but it's definitely one of the better remembrances in the game. But I think that it definitely isn't as good as like Rolana's Twin Blades and stuff. And I wouldn't use it against bosses. I definitely probably won't ever use it again. The other remembrance weapons, like the Saints of the Bud Pole Blade, I'm pretty sure that also inflicts Scarlet Rot, which is pretty cool. I definitely want to do a build with that, maybe. The Rolana Twin Blades, like I said before, they have like a fire and magic ability on both blades, so I definitely want to like do a build with that, like on my mage build or something, and like kind of switch it up and use those two blades instead of my magic. I think that would be sick. You need like oh, actually, no, never mind. She has an incantation or a spell where you actually need like 72 intelligence in order to use it. It's like the 2 moons that she juggles you with in the fight around like the last quarter of her health. So yeah, I probably won't get that, but I definitely want to try out the Twin Blades. The other weapons, I gotta say, they're amazing. Definitely want to try them all at some point in different builds, but yeah, that's what I gotta say about the new variety and stuff. And I think a lot of the new weapon types, like the light great swords, I want to do a build with those, the bear claws, the dry leaf arts, and all that stuff. I definitely tried a bit of that, but I didn't use it throughout the entire game. But I might try it like later on when I learn more about the DLC and like how to do like a flawless run in like maybe 4 or 5 hours. The last thing I'll mention is the story. I actually don't have a great idea about the story, although I think I can, at least for like Mikla. So Mikla is like one of the main characters in this game, but also the quote-unquote main antagonist of this game. And I'm pretty sure Mikla came here just to divest himself of his flesh and to basically become a god. And what he used Moog to basically keep him hidden away so Mikla could transfer himself to the Shadow Realm and be there without anyone worrying about where he's gone. And he did that on purpose. He basically inflicted his charm or whatever. He used mind magic, basically manipulating him to think that they were going to be powerful together, when really he wanted to use Moog's vessel in order to restore Radahn's soul into it so Radahn can be his consort. And basically Radahn would be his trusty warrior and Mikla would become a god eventually. So that's all I really know about the lore. I don't know too much else, so I'm gonna have to wait for Vadi Video to make another video on the lore and stuff whenever that comes out. But yeah, that's basically all I got to say about the DLC. Absolutely 10 out of 10. I haven't seen any review, like a public review, that was like less than a 10. So I definitely recommend playing it. Playing through the base game is definitely worth getting to the DLC every single time. Doing new runs, I'm always going to do that just to get to the DLC. I'm excited, and I definitely want to do more about the DLC on this channel. I want to do like a tier list for like the bosses and stuff, maybe even the remembrance weapons and stuff like that, but we'll just have to wait and see. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.